Hello, I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching Deep Dive on NewsX World. Today we will be delving into Australia's groundbreaking new law seeking to hold big tech accountable for protecting minors and how it could play out. Now, on November 21, 2024, both houses of the Australian Federal Parliament passed the Online Safety Amendment Social Media Minimum Age Bill 2024. The bill was an amendment to the Online Safety Act 2021 and was passed with bipartisan support from both major factions in Parliament.
The question now is that the remaining stages of the bill be agreed to and the bill be now passed. Those for the question say aye. Aye. Against, no. I think the ayes have it.
Now, it is set to be enforced on December 10th of 2025 this year. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has championed this bill as a groundbreaking world-first legislation that shifts the onus for protecting children from parents to the developers of social media platform and big tech. Listen in.
Social media is doing harm to our children. And today, as a direct result of our legislation passed through the Parliament yesterday, through the Senate and confirmed in the House today, parents can have a different discussion with their young ones, a different discussion that will result in better outcomes and less harm for young Australians. Platforms now have a social responsibility to ensure the safety of our kids is a priority for them. We're making sure that mums and dads can have that different conversation today and in future days. We've got your back is our message to Australian parents.
And Australia is not the only country that is acting on this surge in public sentiment about social media. Malaysia has also introduced similar legislation set to go into effect a month after Australia in January next year. The Prime Minister of Denmark has proposed a similar ban for children under 15, and Norway is currently in the final stages of raising the minimum age from 13 to 15, proposing blanket verification to ensure no bypassing. The European Union Parliament recently voted to support a harmonized European Union minimum age of 16 for accessing social media, video platforms, and AI companies. Now, in the United States, legislation centers around mandatory parental consent and limitation of addictive features for minors by regulating algorithms instead of a hard ban. The trend is clear. The onus of protecting children from the perils of unrestricted social media use is now shifting from the parents to big tech. Surveys show overwhelming support for legislation that raises the minimum age for access to social media, particularly among parents. Proponents of the move say that the goal is to minimize the exposure of young people during a critical period of cognitive and emotional development to online predators, cyberbullying, and psychologically damaging content. Surveys taken in major countries like Indonesia, Canada, and the United Kingdom and France show over 70% of the population in favor of strict bans, with supplementary polls in France and UK in particular showing even stronger support for a blanket ban on all smartphone access for children under 16. So what makes Australia's law so interesting? The central feature of this act is where it places the burden of enforcement. The entire obligation of enforcement lies on social media platforms, with fines up to 49.5 million Australian dollars for non-compliance. Crucially, there are no fines whatsoever for children, young people, and their parents if a minor gains access to an age-restricted platform. In particular, the ban applies to services whose sole or significant purpose is to enable social interaction, linking users and allowing user-posted material. Another unique feature of the Australian law is that there is no provision for parental consent to override the ban. The implementation of the ban is also split across platforms. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, TikTok, and X are among the key affected platforms. Further clarification over the past year have also included platforms like Reddit, Twitch, and Kick in the scope of the ban. YouTube, the world's largest video content aggregator, will see its main service impacted, while services aimed specifically at children like Google Classroom and YouTube Kids will remain accessible to children. Instant messaging platforms like WhatsApp will also be exempt from the ban. Now, the law requires these platforms to take reasonable steps to prevent under 16s from creating or maintaining accounts. The goal, according to the Australian government, is to force companies to implement robust, reliable age verification systems. To this end, the Australian government has undertaken extensive technological trials of age assurance technologies. Now, in response, social media companies have been trialing multiple privacy-forward options, mostly using third-party age verification services. Snapchat has collaborated with Connected, a service used by major Australian banks through which users can verify their age using their banking apps. The bank sends a simple yes or no response to the platform's query regarding the user's age without sharing actual data about the user. Other platforms are deploying facial age estimation technologies using AI-powered facial scans to estimate the age of a person. Finally, a fallback option of verifying for solving appeals is through government IDs. Now, to discuss all of this in depth, joining us today is Nidhi Dev, who's a prominent child psychologist from Sydney. Thank you, Nidhi, for joining us here at News X World in this very interesting conversation. I want to shoot off the first question to you. Now, from a neurological perspective, what actually changes in a teenager's brain between 13 and 16? Is there a development leap that suddenly makes a 16-year-old immune to the addictive algorithms that traps a 14-year-old, or is this age limit rather arbitrary?
So we do see that between the ages of 13 and 16, the executive functioning is developing, and it's because of the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is pretty much right in the front, which is doing a lot of work. It's not fully developed yet, but there's a lot of changes happening. So things like planning, risk-taking behaviors, reward-seeking behaviors, as well as complex problem-solving, emotional and social connectivity. All of this is sort of being worked around in the prefrontal cortex. So there is definitely a lot of evidence to show that these functions can be affected based on what the child is exposed to in this age range.
All right, and psychologically speaking, when we tell teenagers that they are banned from something, does it create a forbidden fruit effect? Are we risking driving this behavior into hidden, unmoderated corners of the internet where they will be able, even less safe and less likely to ask for help?
Look, I think it definitely is a possibility. It's very important when you take away something or you ban something that you're providing alternative options that can help sort of combat what they're losing out or missing out on. I think one of the important differentiations to make here is the social media ban is on several platforms, but it does not include gaming. So I still see that it's not going to affect kids who are gaming, and it's not on all the gaming platforms. So yes, there's things like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, which has not just youngsters but also older people on there, and it's not within any age bracket. So they are exposed to phishing and a lot of sort of cyberbullying and I suppose like social connectivity and social ladder changes when a young person is exposed to those platforms, which are not limited in any way. But there isn't a ban right now on gaming platforms. So we're yet to see how this is going to play out. It's only December 1st, and they've only done trials so far. So we're yet to see how it's going to play out in the next couple of weeks.
Sure, and this isn't just for new users. The law will kick off millions of kids who've spent years building their online identities. What does that sudden digital eviction look like psychologically? Should parents be preparing for genuine withdrawal symptoms or identity crisis in their households?
I think increasing connections in other ways is extremely important when you've got them to withdraw from something or you've completely banned something. So they're not banned from platforms like WhatsApp, messaging, Messenger, and other sort of platforms. So I think trying to increase connections socially during this time is quite important, so that they're not losing a sense of self, and any identities that can be formed in person as well. Yes, it's going to be a time of shift and a lot of changes, and we're getting mixed feedback from parents and kids about how this is being rolled out. Some of the parents, of course, are extremely welcoming about it and are excited about time that they can get back with their children. But then a lot of the kids are concerned about everything that they are going to lose. I have also been hearing stories of how they are going to still be online because they're going to, sort of do something about the age range and just probably put in a fake age and still be on it. So that's something we have to watch out for as well. But given that when the law is quite strong, that's something that we're going to have to see how it plays out as well.
All right. Thank you, Nidhi, for speaking to us at NewsX World. And viewers, with that, it's a wrap on this episode of Deep Dive. But do stay tuned. Global news and updates continue right here.